Hello and welcome to another Concern Normal video. My name is Matthew, and in today's video we're going to take a look at creating an Active Directory using Ubuntu and Samba. This is a great low-cost option if you want to set up a user authentication for your home office or your home lab. All you need is a Ubuntu server, a Windows or Linux client to connect to that domain. In this example, we're going to be using Ubuntu 2204 as the domain controller server. We're going to use Windows 10 as a Windows client, and we're going to use Fedora as a Linux client, and get those all set up onto the domain. So, let's get started. All the commands we'll be running today will be provided on my website at conservenormal.com. An exact link to the post will be provided in the comments of this video. So we're going to take a look at hopping on to our Ubuntu server, and we're already on there now. You can see that we're running Ubuntu 220401 LTS. So the first thing we should do is we should set the host name. Now you can see it's already set as DC1. Oops, there we go. But I'm going to copy and paste the commands anyways, just to make sure that it's all set up properly. So we're going to set the host name to DC1. And you're going to need to sudo this. All right. And the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set up the host file to make sure that it knows that this particular machine is the DC. So let's take a look here. Again, we're going to use the sudo command into vi etc hosts. We're going to delete this line here because we do not need it. And then we're going to paste in our IP address and our full domain name, the FQDN, fully qualified domain name, as well as our short name in there. Okay. Now we can verify that by typing in hostname.f, and that'll give us the dc1.cn.lan. Now I'm using cn as an example, it's because it's considered normal, but you can use whatever you want to have, .lan, .local. If you do use a .com or .ca or .org, you should be online, but if you're doing it for your local LAN, .lan should be more than enough. Now we also want to do a ping just to make sure that we can actually ping our domain. And you can see here that it is coming up as 2504, and it is actually going through. So next we want to disable the DNS resolver because we don't need that for this. We're going to actually be doing our own resolves and our own setup. So we're going to disable the systemd resolved, and then we're going to unlink the resolve.config file because we're going to be creating our own. So let's touch our own file quickly. Of course, these should be all done by sudo. Okay, so now let's take a look at that file. And we're going to add the following information in there. You can add your name server, your IP of your domain server. You're going to add the IP of a backup resolver. In this case, we're going to do quad 9. And then you're going to search for your particular domain. In this case, cnlan. Then we're going to save that file. And then we're going to apply the immutable attribute to it so that it cannot be modified. Now, once that is complete, you're going to want to quickly do a sudo update just to make sure that all the archives are viewable, all the repos. If there are packages to be installed, don't worry about them now. You can install them later on if you want to. Next, we're going to install all of the packages that we need to install this as a Active Directory. Again, this command is going to be available for copy and paste on my website, conservenormal.com. Give it a few moments to do that. Once this pops up, you want to leave things as the default for this particular part. So it already knows that it's cnlan, so we're just going to hit enter. For the next part, we're going to type in dc1 in lowercase .cn.lan. And for this one here again, dc1.cn.lan. Alright, once that's complete, we then want to disable the Samba servers that we've installed. We also want to disable NMBD and WinBind. Alright, now we want to basically unmask Samba ADDC. And then we want to enable the DC. We don't want to start it yet, we just want to enable it because we still have to configure it first. Alright, so before we configure the Samba, we're going to basically take the original config and back it up. And then we're going to use the Samba tool domain provision. So for the first few, we're just going to hit enter. So we're going to hit enter because we know that the alarm is cnlan, the domain is cn, the role is going to be a DC, and the backend is going to be Samba internal. Once it asks for the IP for the forwarder IP, we're going to put in Quad9's IP address, and then we're going to enter our administrator password. And then let that run. Once that's complete, we're now going to back up the Kerberos config and copy a new one over. So we're going to back up the original config, and then we're going to copy the one that we've just installed from Samba into the original position. Now that that's complete, we can start up our Samba DC. And we're just going to take a look and see how that's doing. Alright, we can see that it's active and it's running. Alright, now we need to set up time synchronization. So we're quickly going to change the user for the NTP signed directory. And then we're going to chmod the NTP signed directory as well. Right. Now we need to update cronny. So we're going to open up the cronny config file. And at the very, very bottom, we're going to add some settings. And just give me a second here. We need to open that with sudo permission. Okay, so we're going to add in some information. I forgot to change this ahead of time. So there should be the IP of our server, and this should be the network ID of our server. There we go. All right, we're going to exit out of that file. And after that, we need to restart cronny. And we're just going to quickly take a look and see how it's running. Now, as you can see, it is active. Good. All right. Now, let's quickly verify some of the things that we've done here to make sure that everything is set up properly. We're going to verify the domain through host. So you can see that it is responding to the correct IP address. We're going to take a look and make sure that dc1.cnlan is also answering the same address. And then we're going to take a look and verify Kerberos. Should go back with 188. And then we're going to quickly check out TCP and make sure that it's running okay, the LDAP on TCP. And it's coming back to 103.89, which is perfect. Now we can also take a look and see what we have for our resources for Samba. You'll see here that sysvol is a disk, netlogin disk, and then you have IPC. And you'll see that SMB1 is disabled, no workgroup is available. Next, we need to initiate our user, or admin user. So we're going to kinit, the administrator, put on that password that we put in before. It'll tell us your password is going to expire in 41 days. That's okay. And then you're just going to verify. Here we are here. Perfect. Okay. Now you could create a new user here. I'm going to skip that as I want to create the user manually in Windows. Since we already have administrator user, the creating a user here through Samba is very, very simplistic, and you basically just you could, if you wanted to, you could, if you wanted to, create your user this way here. I'm going to create a demo user anyways, just so you see what it looks like. Okay, so it's been added correctly, and then you can take a look at the users with this command here. Oh. And you'll see that we have administrator, Kerberos, guest, and demo. Alright, so that's it for the Ubuntu part, Ubuntu Server 22. We now have an Active Directory set up. Now we're going to need to take a look at how to attach Windows to this domain controller. I'll see you in a few moments. So here we are at a Windows 10 client. I'm just going to log in as a local admin account. I decided to make it a local admin account as opposed to anything else, so it wouldn't interfere with the usernames we're going to be creating through the Active Directory. So this is a brand new install, nothing on there except for local admin. And on the local admin account, I installed Terminal so that I can increase the font size so it's easier for you to read what I'm putting in there. So I'll just quickly log in here. Now with your Windows machine, there's two things you want to make sure you have set up first before you run any commands to get yourself attached to the domain. The first is you want to make sure that your Windows name, your actual computer name, is what you want it to be. In my case, I already set up at Windows 10 CN01 because I plan on adding some more Windows servers to mine here. You just want to make sure that that's something that you want to have. Otherwise, it's going to be like desktop dash and I think 4 or 5, maybe up to 6 different random characters. It's not very intuitive. So definitely want to change this to something a little more intuitive for what machines you're using. And the other thing you want to make sure is you want to make sure that your DNS settings are also set up to be your domain controller server. So you'll see here that my first primary DNS is 192.168.0.254, which is our Ubuntu server, and then our quad 9 as our backup. You can go in there and you can edit your settings and make sure that those are correct. And then I'm going to open up Terminal. Going to run it as administrator. That way I don't have the problem with any different rights and stuff. So it opens up as PowerShell for me, which is great. I'm just going to increase the font size. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So we are going to verify the DNS is correct. We're going to run a quick command here called get DNS client server address. It takes a few moments for it to run. And you'll see here that my Ethernet port, it does have 192.168.0.254 as the primary. So I should be able to ping DC CNLAN. And there we go, it's coming up. And I should also be able to ping basic CNLAN. And again, it comes up as 254. Perfect. Now that we have that ready, we have our computer named, we are ready to attach ourselves to the domain. And it's very, very simple. It is one simple command. And basically we're going to add the computer to the domain name, CNLAN, and restart. So here we're going to need to put in our administrator username and password. Click OK. Okay, let's run that again. I may have typed it wrong. Administrator There we go. And now our machine is restarting. Once it reboots, we should be able to log in as administrator. And that's where we're going to create our new account. Or we could log in as demo as well. We'll take a look when this restarts. Okay, so now we're back at our login screen. I'm going to select other user in the bottom corner. I'm going to type in administrator at cn.lan. Put in my password. Give it a few moments. As this is a new account, it's going to go through the new account setup. Okay, so now that we're logged in, we're going to take a look here and see this folder here, sorry. We only need one. I double clicked it, sorry about that. Let's go to this PC, C drive, users. You'll see the local admin and the administrator that I logged into through the domain controller. Now the one thing you want to do under this account is you want to install the RSAT tools, which is the remote server administration tools for Windows 10. I'm going to quickly grab that and install it here. A link to this will be provided in the blog post that I'll create for this, which is where all the other commands will also be. As you can see, I'm just being very conscious of not allowing Microsoft to do anything with my information. So we're going to download this tool for 64-bit. Now the reason for this is you want to have this tool because we didn't create any significant users through Samba. We don't be able to log into that server. We don't need to log into that server very often. Although you can create users that way, it is better to use it through the actual RSAT tools. So click yes, because we want to install the standalone updater, or standalone installer. Of course I accept. Just give it a few moments to install. Okay, now that it's complete, we're going to close. We are going to need to restart the computer, I think. Let me just quickly see if I don't have to. No, we don't have to. It seems that they're actually installed now. So we want to copy this to the desktop, or Active Directory Domains and Trusts. No, we want to copy this one. Users and computers. And there was another one, yes, DNS we want to move over. And the group policy management. And this is where we would create users. So let's take a look at Active Directory users and computers. Inside our LAN here, go to computers. You'll see your computer there now. You go to users. You'll see there's a whole bunch of them. You'll see demo is there, which is the one that we created through Samba. We are now going to create a new user through here, because you see there's a lot more information here. So I can fill out the first name, my last name, and I want to type in here, but this I want to be, now I don't know if this will work or not, but I want to see if, because I want to use this as my username I want to have that as my login. So we're going to see if I can log in with this one here first and get it to actually log in there and have my username set as this when I go into the command prompt, and we'll see if that works. So let's create that new user, put in a password. Okay. Don't want to change it. I want to keep it so it's not changed. And the password, actually no, I can change it whenever I want to. I just don't want the password to expire. All right. So let's take a look and see if this user now worked. I should be able to log out and log back in as that particular user. So let's take a look. Sign out as administrator. I'm going to sign as an other user. I'm going to try to create first through this here. Looks like it could detect my information. This is good. It's going to create the new user for me. This will take a few moments. Looks like the VM crashed on me. Let's see if I can bring it back online. Okay, let's try and log in again. Alright, so now we're logged in as Matthew. Let's take a look here and verify that. Takes a while for it to come up, so my icons are still not sort of missing. This PC, into the C drive, users, and you'll see that there I am with that username as opposed to Matthew.Koster. And if I go into well, let's just go into the command prompt anyways. You'll see that I'm logged in as M.Koster, which is perfect. And you'll see here, if I type in who am I, it says that I'm part of the CN domain. So, now that I have that user created, let's try and log in via a Linux box. So let's do that next. So here we are at our login window for Fedora. I'm going to log in again as a local administrator that I created. Now this is Fedora 36, but all versions of Fedora should work. I'll have instructions for Ubuntu as well on the website at concertnormal.com. The post to the exact link to the exact post will be in the comments of this video. So let's take a look here and see what we need to do. So I'm going to open up first. I'm going to put terminal down here so I can access it. Let's hop in there. Let's not go full screen. I don't like that look. Let's take this, but I do want to increase the font size. Okay, that should be better. All right. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set our host name. So just a precursor to this, if you are using Ubuntu, you should enable the universe repositories, and there's a few packages you're going to need to install. I won't show them here because I'm doing Fedora, but on the website there will be a section for Ubuntu, as well as maybe some other Linux OSs to connect to a Windows domain. So we are going to set our hostname, the full hostname, to the full FQDN, fully qualified domain name. So in this case, it is fedora.cn.lan. That's what I want to have it as. I'm going to pop in the username, root password there, or actually my password, because I'm doing a sudo command. So with Fedora, it uses systemd resolved to keep its information. So it's not /etc resolve.conf, which you would find on Ubuntu. It's slightly different on Fedora, so I'm going to edit that file. And all the stuff at the end here I'm going to remove. And I'm going to put in my own information here. So I'm going to put, again, the DNS for my server, backup of Quad9 with a backup of Google. And again, you need to do this as sudo. Pop that information in again. Oh, looks like I just copied the last bit there. All right. Then you need to restart systemd resolved. All right. That doesn't do that, but if I ping cn.lan, it'll work. And if I ping dc1, it'll work. All right. So let's just see if we can discover it and see what Linux has to say about the domains. We're going to realm discover cnlan, and we'll see that it's an active directory, odd job make home dir. All the information is there, which is great. And we are going to now join that domain. Put in the password for administrator. It's going to install necessary packages, the odd job and the odd job make home dir. And now I should be attached to the domain. So let me quickly log out and log back in as my other user. So I'm going to say I'm not listed. And voila. Should be able to log in now. No, I don't want to take the tour. I do want to take my terminal, pop it in there. And I do want to go into the settings. And you'll now see that it has created me in mcoster@cn.lan, which is fairly interesting. So let me just quickly exit out, because that's not my actual email. Huh. Well, it'll still log me into that. Let's see if it created a new user. It says it's creating my home. Okay, it logged me into the same spot. at least we are connected to the domain. It does create me as mcoster@cn.lan. That would cause a bit of SSH issues. If I try and log into, say, my LAN, yeah, okay. So it still wants to log me in as Matthew@cnlan. So it's slightly different than Windows, where it did create it as mcoster. On Linux, it creates it as mcoster@cnlan. So it is a domain user. I just have to basically do a little bit more configuration in Linux to be able to use my mcoster login for my local LAN. Well, that's it. I've showed you now how to create your DC, or your Active Directory domain controller, using Ubuntu 2204. I've showed you how to connect to the domain and create users using a Windows 10 client. And I've showed you how to connect your users to the domain using a Linux version, in this case, Fedora. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment. I'll see what I can do about answering them. And if you like this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next.